Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spicy Dungeoneer. This is Joel, and we're talking about Delicious in Dungeon. It's a Netflix animation that was based on a Japanese manga series, but I don't get paid for this. I'm just giving you some advice because I've just finished watching this first season, and I'd like to recommend it to you for some sort of old school dungeon and Dragons sort of nostalgia. It was written and illustrated by Ryoko Kui, and it's a dungeon crawl with a twist. And there's a quest to slay a dragon and rescue a sort of a princess before something terrible happens to her. I won't go into any more details than that, you'll just have to watch it yourself. But just be aware that this is not a paid uh, promotion. I'm just doing this out of interest, and I'm not changing this channel into like a movie review station. This is all just for fun because I've enjoyed it. This world is very well thought out, I think. It talks about uh, lots of different races and places that we will be familiar with. There's a tall man who's a human fighter, who was one of the main characters, and he's got an appetite for eating monsters. There's a half-elf magician who's got great power and a bit of a dark secret that we don't find out till later that sort of affects the world and her interaction with other characters. And there's Chilchuck the halfling locksmith. I like that they call him a locksmith and not a thief, even though he's got lots of thief abilities. And there's Senshi the dwarf chef, and this is one of the more interesting characters because he makes a living cooking and eating monsters, and he teaches this adventurers party more about that sort of thing. It's not all Western though. There are samurai and ninja, as well as other old school favourites. I really like the kobolds in there because they're the old dog-headed ones that before they became draconic. There's barbarians and all sorts of stuff in there as well. And we get this idea that there is a world greater than the dungeon itself. I like the magic in here. I like the fact that there are kelpies and mermen and giant frogs and dryads and a cockatrice and even eventually a dragon. There's a magical sword with a bit of a twist. There's a mysterious origin behind the dungeon, which is basically just a very, very deep magical area that regenerates and grows, and monsters sort of come out and has developed a bit of an economy around it, which is an interesting idea. It's got its own sort of magic, although it's not talked about too much, but we get this feeling that there's wizard schools and different branches of magic. There's a interesting explanation for how magical healing works because basically, without giving too much away, you can be reincarnated and healed in the dungeon, but not outside of the dungeon. So the dungeon is a magical place which helps strange things happen. I really like the bubbly Japanese pop music that is in the intro and outro, and I'm happy to hear that season 2 is going to be starting in April 4th of this year. Some key points that I really like is there's some non-stereotypical orcs that, although they kind of look a little bit orcish, they act in different ways and can become interesting in part of the plot. It teases a bit of a romance between some of the main characters. And it's part adventure, part fantastic cooking show with all sorts of interesting recipes and instructions on how to cook these monsters. It reminds me of when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons trying to kill the dragon and get the hide made into armor, as well as when we sort of like got pixies and made pixie dust out of their wings. I think there should be more of that. I know it's a bit dark, but it's an interesting way, and it sort of makes me want to play a chef character for my next character maybe next time. I used to have a character that ran around fighting with a fry pan. Maybe something like that would be interesting. I really enjoy the Japanese interpretation of Western fantasy and the whole Tolkien-like world with orcs and elves and even hobbits. But there's also a bit of a Japanese feeling with the food, and there's an Oni ogre there as well, and samurai and ninja and some of the darker, like a sort of spider ninja or something. I'm not even sure what it is, but it's interesting. And like I said, the world itself is sort of teased in the background. There's obviously something political going on within the magic itself, because there's sort of good and bad magical schools. There's the gnomes that are sort of running this racket of, you know, charging people for healing spells. In the dungeon itself, there's people who make money off the adventurers. And there's a human king that's been put into place by elves. So it's all very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. So check it out. It's on Netflix at the moment, and I would like to hear your own recipes or ideas that you might have for using monsters even as part of the treasure. And I really like this idea of, you go in, you might fight something and harvest some of the animal or plant, or rather than just collecting treasure as gold and magical items, but getting ingredients for spells and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of interest, for me at least, in it, and it would make a kind of funny character. And you could always go with an orc character and have lots of "looks like meat's back on the menu, boys" sort of memes. But anyway, I'll leave that with you. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe and click on that notifications bell. It really helps me out. And if you'd like to see more of content like this, please share this video with other people. That's all from me though for today. See you later. Bye bye.